Welcome to Inform TV. I'm Alan Repke, Alexandria, Minnesota. Today, this 25th day of February, Monday the 25th of 2013, we're going to start an ongoing investigation, or disclose to you an ongoing investigation. Basically, that's what we've been doing here at Inform TV. We've been showing local events, a lot of things, doing far more than KSAX ever did, as far as local and regional and even statewide effects of what's going on. And I'm trying to do this in a way, there's a few newspapers in town that in outstate Minnesota that used to carry some of my letters to the editor, and ran into a guy. He said, "Why aren't you writing a letter to the editor anymore?" And I said, "Well, it's a waste of time." Well, he said, "Papers need a person like you to tell them what's going on." But obviously I'm in the TV business now, so I'm going to try to send this, or you can send this to your favorite newspaper if you want. Hopefully it's not a foreign communications newspaper, a foreign newspaper, and then in my view should be outlawed. We should have a state law that no outstate influence on any regional paper, that every community is responsible to keep a viable newspaper and give those communities the ability to tax, promotion, advertising, whatever it takes to see that we have a real newspaper in town, in every regional community in outstate Minnesota. That people, sound people, people of substance, know that the people there will report what is factual and the good, the fair, and the ugly. And what I'm doing here today, I'm looking at, been looking for a long time, people. In fact, I think I could have had a major effect on the county commissioners' races if I would have disclosed some things then, but I thought for the good of the community, and whether I had time or big enough market to get my hands around everything, I just played. But I think this is when you start digging into stuff in a realistic basis as a person of substance who's been in the trenches and watched these so-called elitists try to operate. There's some interesting numbers, and that's why I want you to stay tuned. And hopefully, if any newspaper gets this, at best they'll put it on in the background, maybe listen a little bit. But what I'm looking at here and want to explain to you, the tower here at Gardenville is the selective tower. Make sure you send these people some money. Remember, they have nothing to do with anything I say here or any of the advertisers. But there's things I want you to know. And you all know that I'm a despised outstate TV station. And what I've found here, when I start digging into this tax increment financing and other issues in the Alexandria Lakes area, it's a web. I mean, it is Peyton place we live in. What I found was that we have strange bedfellows involved in tax increment financing, in the financing, operations, locations, control, all these things, and they all come together back into education in some way or form. It's quite a web, people, when you look at it, and I firmly believe it needs to be exposed, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But we're kind of doing a soap opera program, because if I can keep my computer lit, I wanted to do it last night, but maybe the good Lord said I shouldn't be working on Sunday, and so my computer shut down, but so far she's still working today. And we want to talk about a few things. And I want to do the other segment that I'll probably do on this. You know, I talked about the significance of having what? The Republicans that are a minority in the House subpoena our congressmen and senators and ask them some tough questions that we brought up here at Inform TV, and to see what's going on. And for the commonest of common person out there, what is the thing that is affecting us negatively the most right now? The price of gasoline. And to show these newspapers that hopefully somebody will look at, or you'll pass this on to your friends, because we're putting more stuff on YouTube and informtv.com, our website, informtv.com. back out of the way, you can see it there, relating to this. And gasoline, and I know these elitists in town that are keeping us off of Charter, keeping off Gardenville, attacking our sponsors. My money is drying up, people. And so you the people have to get involved here, because government is doing everything to shut me down. And but what I was getting at in the gasoline thing, we were paying $3.74 a gallon now this early morning TV, and I forgot to even look when I drove by a station this morning what gas was here in Alexandria. But last week it was about anywhere from $3.70 to $3.79, I think, and I don't know when I put a little gas in. I thought it was $3.75 or $3.74. But here's the deal. So on Thursday or Friday, gasoline in outstate Minnesota is about $3.74, or here in the Alexandria Lakes area. $3.74 a gallon. $3.74. But what's the significance of why Informed TV, and we want Paul Anderson and Ingebrigtsen and Westrom and this, it starts with a P, the senator to the northeast here, to bring those people in. Here's what I'm saying. You know, the people that have been watching Informed TV for quite some time, I took you through a tour of the Sauk Center terminal there as a congressional candidate. Of course, they censored what I found out there, wouldn't let me take a camera or anything. I actually went through the one here, the big one, that we get trucks from all over at times, from North Dakota, from way down south, wherever, picking up diesel fuel and gas. And our government, our congressmen and our senators, the Minnesota 10, are allowing a massive amount of exports of gasoline, diesel, and home heating fuel, and even crude oil now with this new leg, the only leg of the Keystone Pipeline that they got going. But anyway, here's what I was getting at. Do you realize on Friday, statewide, the ethanol industry that we contributed $345 million to build over time here with subsidies for these plants. For example, that plant, the lady I had on with Little Falls, all these major plants got about $30 million each, enough to totally pay for the original plant, and then some in many cases. But anyway, we've got high-priced corn, and the food guys are crying too high-priced, and ethanol is an inefficiency. It is an inefficient business. No, it's not. Ethanol needs to be on a 10% in our tank for an alternative fuel, clean air. They need the octane, 113 octane. But here's the point I want to get you before we get back to TIF here, is that on Friday, the statewide rack price of 113 octane for terminals like here in Sauk Center, Alexandria, Mankato, Duluth, Marshall, the average price was what on Friday? $2.44. And yet you people, me, were paying $3.74 and maybe up to $3.79 for gasoline. And yet DTN shows in their example plant, if the plant is paid for, which most of them are in Minnesota, and not servicing debt, they're making 20 cents a gallon. They're making 20 cents a gallon. And the price of corn is what? The price of corn is $4 a bushel higher than the target price of the present Farm Bill. Your Congressman, Colin Peterson, and those involved in voting in favor of the 2008 bill, going back, the target price back to about 1995, I believe, said the price of corn should be at least $2.63 a bushel. The corn price in Douglas County was $6.63. not 263, 663, and they were still delivering ethanol out to the terminals around Minnesota for $1.30 cheaper. So the first the terminal out here, they were blowing the first 10% of every transport load of gasoline going out of here. They were blowing that in at $2.44 a gallon, and then they were pushing 85 octane gasoline that's not market ready, but the ethanol made it market ready for whatever price. You see why I think you should demanding of our Republicans in this state to see that they subpoena these congressmen, our 10 Republicans and Democrats, and the despicable job they're doing, and bring them in. And so with that, I'll get back to the topic at hand, but I think you need to understand, and these newspapers need to understand, I damn well know what I'm talking about when I put the finger on these people, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, but you got to keep that tower lit out there. So send the selective board a check, and check with the YouTube. I got the fishing contest, I got the robotics there, and all that, those kind of things. But here's what I'm running at. My money is drying up, yet we remember here, those in Alexandria, that we had the big banker, the big Bremer banker, and how he sent a sob story about how sad it was we lost the TV station here, and we've had TV stations here, 2 of them, going back at least 30 years here in town. And the interesting thing, when I looked in this TIF deal, the economic development book shows that Bremer Bank in Douglas County has $250 million worth of annual deposits in 2012. In fact, Bremer Bank, that I gave some good coverage to at the farm show, does more business in Douglas County than all the banks in Polk County, and almost as much deposits as all the banks in Todd County. And yet they won't send me a penny and want me to dry up, because what? They're a charity. And what has happened in our society, if anybody gives a check to charity, they're untouchable. And if you start looking at TIF and some of these things we're going to show you today, I'm saying some of the people that give to charity need to be watched more so than anybody else. And when I look at the web here of everything being tied together, people, one of the things that I'm going to bring some investigators in with some real teeth, as they say, hopefully, if I can keep enough bucks coming, is the fact that if it's a charity, it's none of your damn business what we're doing. And here's what I'm getting at. I covered the technical school out here, people, when they opened house. At the technical school, didn't want my filmage. You guys on Informed TV saw a little bit of it. They said, we do our own filming. We don't need your stuff. And so a public school, a community college, a tech school doesn't need a true reporter looking at what they're doing. And here's what should riff you people out there is their head professor, who happens to live right next door to me, and this is just his work house. And I've heard personally, sitting in a couple different bars, of telling people that student housing was built with no tax dollars. People, that's a bunch of bull. We traditionally built with tax dollars, and I'm for that beautiful building there. I think it's a good addition. But when I wanted to see what's really going on, people either build a public building with tax dollars or tax deductible dollars. And I'm telling you, there is really some huge advantage for people who get tax deductible dollars to direct what they want society to do. I think public schools, public universities, public tech schools should be funded by what? public tax dollars. And so we all see what's going on. We have a public viewpoint, not fat cat foundations running our public institutions. And here's what I'm getting at. When I wanted to look at who are those donors, it relates to some tax things I've been following that the IRS is very upset about. And rightfully so, with this massive debt, the shortfalls in Minnesota's budget. I asked for who are the donors out there, and here's the response I got from the Alex Tech Foundation. Regarding the list of our donors, we will be unable to provide that as many are confidential. It was nice meeting you. Here's the deal, people. Confidentiality is fine and dandy if they took it out of their pocket like the little lady did at the well in the Bible and just gave them the cash. I'll grant them that confidentiality. But if these donors got a big fat tax deduction and made their taxes very lucrative, plus got an ongoing promotion by doing it that had real monetary value, I want to know. I think you want to know. Then the other thing of education of this web that I find when I start digging into what's going on. We had a school referendum, $65 million. The public supported it. Fine and dandy. We're a growing community. I voted against it, but because the local radio station out here gets a $20 ad instead of stating his position on his own radio stations in the local paper like he's just John Doe off the street. That just foiled me. But anyway, so I've been digging with the school. You know, they want me to have no revenue. They want me to come in and sit down just like the tech college. You come in and you be part of our team. That is not what the press is meant to do by our forefathers. And to protect the public and show the public some things that are happening, you make your decision. Do you want to put pressure on your elected officials? That type of thing. But anyway, here's the deal on the high school that doesn't want to show me any numbers. I finally said, I want to see what happened with the old school there. And I've read the newspaper report on it, and I was under the understanding, and I think most of the voters in the referendum that thought that we sold the school to Brent and Sally Smith, who are AGARD, very successful company. I'd like to run some of their videos of some of their equipment, of all the deal. I think it'd be great entertainment as well as good informed positions of what Minnesota companies, same with Douglas Machine and all of them. I think they have statewide interest. But none of those companies like it. And I approached this AGARD out there after I did the filming. I said, will you throw a couple $100 in so I can afford to show all the people that I was paying time on charter, putting things out of here on the tower at Garfield? And no, we're not interested. But so when I do a little digging for you, the audience of Informed TV and the citizens of Minnesota, outstate Minnesota, that I'm trying to see that are informed, the school finally writes back to me, Brent and Sally Smith purchased Jefferson High School for $1,942,000. Earnest money in the amount of $100,000, which is chump change, people, to the money people, big farmers like I used to be now, and a lot of the manufacturers here in town that have a real niche and good products, and we're happy for that, of course, and we're happy they're making money, but they paid down of the paper story, and you can read it yourself. I think it's 11/23 from the Echo here in town. Showed that they had a $2 million purchase of the school and the land around there. And anyway, so the bound, they put $100,000 down. The balance was $1,842,000 on the closing date, and I'm trying to get some information on the closing date now and what all went on there, because I smell some rats there as well. The closing is expected to take place in the fall of 2014. People, I want to know the tax ramifications and what's going on in here. When you voted, when I voted, I was told by people in coffee shops and the bar, well, why would you be against it? Or either they told me that or overheard. They even sold the old school. They sold it, people, but they got no cash. And we go through our little soap opera pictorial here, you'll see how far along they've got. Did they get $2 million for the cost of blueprints and all this kind of thing? They got a lousy $100,000. And that's what I'm bringing up here. I think that when you have big money people thinking that they can take over everything and they don't need any oversight for any true reporter or true press source or true person that does commentary based on factual analysis, people were hurting on a big-time basis. And just think of the price of gasoline. Why are you people, why are we all paying $3 now? I think the going rate in Minneapolis this morning was $3.80. And when you push in ethanol, that farmers can raise a high-priced corn crop, push it through their own ethanol plant, and deliver it to the terminals around Minnesota for $2.44 a gallon, according to DTN numbers, and we're paying $3.70 to $3.80. Anyway, we're going to see here now, we're going to go into TIFs here before my cockeyed computer shut down. We're talking about the tax increment district of the city of Alexandria. We got Lake Lahamadou, Lake Carlos, Lake Darling on the north. We got Lake Geneva, Victoria, Latoka, Cowdrey. We got the two lakes that I want to walk around one of them, and I want to change the name of the lake to either Lake Alexandria or the two of them, or call one of them Big Ole Bay of Lake Alexandria, that type of thing, and pull into the city of really lakes, surrounded by lakes. You can come off the freeway, drive down Broadway, do business, put a new convention hotel there on the east bank of what is now Lake Agnes, and have a unique situation to bring business in. I am very pro, just like Jason over here, of economic development. Yes, I'm pro, but I think when we do some digging, the good old boys are getting a nice fat tax break, and it's just some things I want you to show you. But anyway, in fact, I think I'm going to bring bus tours in. If I can get these other newspapers around the state to look at it. There's some 46 districts here, and I'm going to take you a quick little pictorial here around, and some of the big businesses and fortunate people. I see some few that really needed, maybe young businesses and that type of thing. I'm not against that, but I'm going to show you that a lot of this stuff may be justified to get going, and so I'm not against it. But once it gets going, why are we giving these guys tax breaks? And so with that, we're going to try to go to more and Inform TV will try to post some of this stuff so you can come to Alexandria. You people that talk to me from Little Falls and way southwest of Starbuck, and come to Alexandria, go into restaurants here. I don't care which one, but remember the good lady Belinda out there at Weston Station, she did some advertising. Charlie, who's going to be part of this pictorial, has did a few bucks worth of advertising with me, but not enough to keep me alive, and we're going to get into that as we get deal. But I think you people way out, or you got some people want to come to Alexandria for a church group, make sure the bus companies of Minnesota come in the Inform TV tax increment financing tour. You'll find it really good, and we'll try to post the total amount some of these depressed areas surrounded by water here in Alexandria Lakes area are doing. But here's the first thing I want to stop at. It is super popular. I haven't been in there. Of course, I knew, talked to the owner when he was first in town, and then had everything put together but left because the city council wouldn't follow his instructions. But anyway, we got them back. I'm glad to have Zorbas. I love many choices. I should never cook. If I just had money, I should go out every night and just have a bite here and see what the community is doing, see where the people are coming from, just like I did at the farm show, at the fishing contest. And by the way, you can send that link to your friends. It's some funny stuff on there, I think. But anyway, remember Chris and Frank from CBS Minneapolis, you know, a puppet of CBS News New York. They were at the original Zorbas in Detroit Lakes. And I've ate there. In fact, I went up there when they were going to come here. I went to Fargo on business, and I swung back through 10. You know, I'm always looking for to find something, and this was a couple of years ago maybe. But anyway, I stopped there and had food and see what they were up to, and I was hoping they were going to come to town. Knew a family that their daughter worked out there, and da-da-da at the place they were going to buy anyway. But anyway, you remember if you watched Going to the Lake with WCCO, I don't know why they allowed to use that name, they're CBS, period. And the original Zorbas, and they kind of put on like, if you live in lake country, you're just drinking and partying and having fun. And see, they didn't get into the things we talk about in Forum TV, just a lousy wage rate out here to businesses that are doing very well. And the other thing they put on that Zorba's a great business. I think they are a great business. And where I had a cabin, they ended up buying out the place across the lake in Spicer. And so they got prime lake property with restaurants that are incredible transaction. In fact, I took this picture, folks, on this last Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something, and I was busy here, so I grabbed a $1 hamburger at McDonald's when I was heading out that way, and a senior's coffee for 65 cents, and I thought, well, I'm the only dumb one eating. This is not a true representation. The whole parking lot back here was packed. The parking lot over at Bugaboo's is packed. But are the patrons of the new Zorbas or Frank and Chris, who come out to lake country just to have fun rather than digging in what's really going on in outstate Minnesota in the lakes and forest country here northeast of us, or the great farmland in the Red River Valley and southern Minnesota, how those guys are booming, but wages are still lousy out here, not the health benefits and that kind of thing we need. But anyway, what I want you to get before I go through the pictorial here, and hopefully it works, is the fact that the tax increment financing district here, we're going to give those guys at least $4,500 per year for either 8 years or 13 years. So you people, I've been told there's a lot of young people out there. I wanted to do a pictorial with a camera, but they got an outside marketing organization. Now we don't think we need Informed TV. We'll do fine, and they are. And I'm sure they got a big email list and all this kind of stuff. And so they can advertise without anybody doing any digging. But why isn't the talk of the town here? We've got this plush new business plush, because I went inside, looked pretty nice in there the Sunday before it opened. But anyway, it was an old building. And yet the assessor valued that property at $212,000. And so the tax increment break is going to be on all these improvements they made on the property and inside or whatever. It's a complicated deal. I'm not going to be able to explain it here. And by the way, I asked the economic development, the TIF district, plus the city administrator to come on camera in here and explain what's going on with TIF in the area. And some of these businesses we're going to show you here in this pictorial. We don't do that. And I put some pressure on them. They finally said, well, we'll talk to you about TIF. But they want to talk to Inform TV on their terms. So in other words, they don't want a camera in here that I can put so you can see their facial expressions when they're justifying all this stuff. They just want a tape that I can bring a tape recorder in and tape what they want. And of course, you know damn well they're going to tape it, and then they can throw it to the 2 radio stations and outstate newspaper we've got in town, and they'll put their spin, and it won't go on charter. So all of the majority of the TV viewers in Alexandria Lakes area not going to be able to see it. But anyway, we got this bright new business here that I'm happy in the area. I'm pro-growth in Alexandria. We got a lot of things going for me. I think if we just handle things right, we don't need to give fat cats businesses dollars to come to town. But anyway, we got this booming business, so spread the word around Alexandria. Do we need to give them $4,500 per year in tax breaks to be here for a number of years? And the interesting thing on this tax increment financing, you think that in some cases, in fact, Garden Center Lanes, hey, our county commissioner that was outraged, this kid gave me a $300 check for all that footage of 2 bowling nights that probably ran for dang near a week, and ads that over a month that I am, as a TV guy, supposed to put together for a bowling show for him. But he was outraged when he found out that for over a month of advertising and showing that program, I got $420. There'll be a table of 8 that'll get that kind of money in his restaurant. And I like Charlie. I'm glad he was elected to the chamber, or the county commissioners here, but I think he should step down and let the kids run the business there and be the chairman of the board instead. He's got enough to do with just being a commissioner. And here's the next slide I want you to show you. Here's the news orbas. So you people out, when you come to town, you can go out there and check it out. I'm going to check it out if I ever get some money. And then we're going to go in back to the web of money and that kind of thing. Here's another business that got TIF dollars, but not to start a new business, to rent and bring another business in town. Here we got Calling Robards, I think they call it. That's the one that helped me do my logo. And you people in Alexandria know the finances. But anyway, look at the picture I took yesterday on Sunday. They've been here since 1872. Isn't it like that? They've been doing business in Douglas County for 3 centuries. And yet we are giving money to them on properties they own out in Nokomis out there to get a tax break for a number of years for a business that came to town that's got a booming business down the freeway here. It's either Melrose or Freeport, someplace down there, and we'll get to a picture of them too if I can remember what I'm doing. I hope I don't hit the wrong button here, because this is really interesting. I want you to bring this to the bars, the church basements, and that type of thing, and some of your small town newspapers and your legislators. Well, the other interesting thing is that what? Now, our new county commissioner is also involved. His family, it's a family business. I think it's fine when we spend money for family businesses, local businesses. They built this new ballroom, bowling alley, restaurant, and then worked with some outside guys to build a Hampton Inn and all that kind of stuff. But I think when we're talking about giving TIF breaks on a statewide basis to Rochester down there, I think down there maybe that's such a money town that it probably doesn't matter. But the reality, when they're talking TIF statewide, I think there should be, here's what we have. The auditors send me money. They give an audit report on this, following the money. Even our own Dan Ness, the mayor, was on there doing some evaluation of some districts that evidently weren't doing right, or they just wanted to be checked out. Ask Dan Ness, your former mayor. But here's what the auditor isn't doing. The auditor, there's no signs in the reports that they sent me or I skimmed through, you know, I can't read or write, but I hit a number, I hit a count word, boom, I'm going to read that paragraph. That smells like something I can see. I suck some certain things in through my feet and stuff, you know, when I walk in a room. And anyway, the auditor, the governors, not just Dayton, the governors, the legislatures, both Republican and Democrat, don't do any oversight on any of these programs. Just like I said about gasoline, how can we put $2.44 a gallon ethanol in every truck that leaves the terminal here in Alexandria and all around the state and let the price of gasoline be $3.70 and not have our Minnesota legislature subpoena these congressmen and senators? And what the Sam heck is going on? You're exporting records amounts of diesel fuel, gasoline, and crude oil. So what? So us little people got to pay whorehouse price for gasoline. But anyway, so your own commissioner now gets what per year for his family business? Anybody guesses out there? $65,000 a year. And I don't remember if I got a calculator here handy. If his business gets $65,000 a year and divided by 12, he gets $5,400 a month back in tax savings for running a very good, successful business. You guys can bowl out there. We're getting community benefits. There's no question about that. But at this point in time, do we still need to send him that kind of money? And then, does he think he's helping the local TV station when he thinks I should have got $100 for putting all that bowling stuff on there and $100 for all those ads you people talked? And he's drugged me out for the last 3 weeks, and then come back next week, come back next week. All these advertisers are doing that kind of thing. And the other thing I want you to know, Gardenville, the local co-op television cable provider out here, that's a co-op that pays dividends, at least I presume they do, to their subscribers. Do you realize then they don't want me on the air either, just like Charter, just like your city council here in Alexandria. They get from $24,000 to $27,000 a year. In fact, they got $100,000, is my understanding. These guys throw me so many piles of papers and numbers. One I wait for, one, and you're trying to juggle all these numbers. But it looks like they're getting $100,000 for site preparation of that beautiful facility out there. And maybe that's what it took to get a loan through. I don't think so. One of my sources said they got $19 million since 2000 grants from the government. So this is what I'm getting at on this stuff. Who is doing oversight? Don't we need an outstate TV station that really says, hey, there's a lot of good people, mass majority, but everybody needs somebody like a guy like me looking over their shoulder and saying, is that right? That may be legal, boys, but is it just? See, I'm a believer that our forefathers didn't believe that America should be a nation of laws. America is a nation of justice. We should always be evaluating the programs that we pass and not saying this is a sacred cow, that's a sacred cow. If you got big money and you give to a charity or church, it's hands off. That's a bunch of bull. And that's why we're in the mess we got. But we're going to keep going here. We're not going to bury Charlie, but when you see your county commissioner, you can ask, why don't you, if you can't afford to do it, Charlie, why don't we have the hospital here, which is a county business that advertises, they're on the billboards, they're in the paper, on the radio, they don't want to spend a deal. Tell them to send Repke here at Inform TV. Us little people, we own the hospital, don't we, county commissioners, Jerry Johnson and so on? You guys are going to meet tomorrow and Tuesday. Give them a call. Why don't we get the local hospital give Repke maybe the same thing we give the county commissioner? Give him $5,000 per month for a year at least. Let's get the old guy off the ground, get some equipment, get in charter and that kind of stuff, and see what he can really do for us. Because they're coming too here. Once again, hopefully I don't push the wrong button on this.